What is your understanding around the census?
My understanding around the census is that it's a collection of data for all the people of New Zealand. So I guess it helps us understand who we are and what changes are happening in our society so that we can plan for the future and make New Zealand a better place for everyone.
Who we have, how many people we have, what our needs are, where the money should be going, that sort of thing.
I mean, obviously, if we're planning ahead for the future, we need to know how many people and what sort of people live in each community and in order to plan for those communities. So if people don't take part in the census, then they're not counted and their views won't count.
Women count. For too long, women have been invisible in our community, in our society. But women count, and so do our kids. Children count too. And one of the really important things about the census on the 5th of March this year is that it gives a chance for women and children to be counted, to be present, and to no longer be invisible to people like me who make decisions based on the information in the census.
All those rural communities out there, you need to encourage all your whānau to take part in census so that they can do a proper head count. We've got lots of whānau out there returning home back into our smaller rural communities, and if we don't fill out our census forms, we won't be able to get the resources we need back into our communities.
The government's not going to give us any money if we say that we don't have that many kids in our area, we don't have that many families. So the more honest you are on the piece of paper, the more money we're going to get for our kids, for education.
So if you want to have these new roads and hospitals, our schools, our kohanga reo, no big deal. It's easy, it's simple. 1 and 1 is 2. Hey, how simple is that?
Because I think it really matters that we count. I think it's important that we are able to, really be counted so that the resources can go into supporting our whānau Māori.
It can sometimes be a bit intimidating with the forms and it can feel a bit intrusive sometimes. But this information is what we make decisions on all the time.
Take the opportunity, because if you don't, it's gone. And you'll have to wait again for the next census before you take that opportunity.
I guess what all that's trying to say is that statistics are important. And it's important that we know about the statistics so that the government can allocate resources to isolated communities like ours in the far north.
It's a simple process. The whole process, they come, it's delivered to your house, it's delivered to your whānau, they come, they drop the forms off, they come back later and pick the forms up. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to spend any money to do it, all we're asking is for your time.
The census is an important occasion because it tells us, as others will tell you, an opportunity for us to know that who are Maori in this country, even more importantly, who's Ngāpuhi, who's Te Rarawa, who's Te Aupōuri, who's Te Arawa, and who's Waikato, and whoever else. It is not about the government wanting to know where you live, how many you live in your house. It's not about that. It's about billions of dollars that the government gets in this country and it distributes throughout the whole country into the communities.
And just like elections and so many other things, people think, oh, well, what does it matter? I'm only one person. Well, if every one person in Northland takes that attitude, then that picture is a pretty flat one. And so I guess my pitch to you is if you're interested in having a community that is representative of you and understands and connects with you, then the responsibility is with you to be a part of the process. And I'd really encourage you to do that.
We make decisions about how much money health centres get based on the numbers on the census. We make decisions about where schools should go and sometimes where they should be closed on the basis of information like the census. So your community is dependent on the information about your community that we get out of the census.
And you're going to see a lot of your local people that live in your communities come around and knocking on your doors and passing out the forms. We're also promoting it online as well, so if you really want to get into it, you can just go online and participate that way. It's a lot easier, it's probably a lot more safer, quick, and it's secure.
So if we participate whānau and support the census and put your details on a piece of paper that properly accounts for
you and your whānau, your loved ones in your household. If you want to do well, if you want to do better, if you want to access the things that are available to many New Zealanders but are not available to you, you are responsible.
Traditionally in the north we have an undercount, which means that we don't have a lot of people actually participating. We want to change that. We want to make everybody aware and make it as important as it is when it comes to registering to vote. The census is it's really significant for people living in their own communities.
If our communities ain't working and if our numbers in the communities ain't up, then Māori we simply miss out.
You know, it's important for us as Māori to get our numbers registered somewhere. If you look at what's happened in the past regarding local body elections and how we are always underrepresented, if you look at regional district councils and by population, the number of Māori that live in those areas, and when you look at how many actually represents us at those tables, at regional and district councils, we are sorely underrepresented. And the reason why we're underrepresented is basically because we don't get involved and enrol and take part in the process of your opportunity to vote.
How does the census affect me? For me personally, the census affects my kids at their kura kaupapa. It affects them when it comes to their health, because we live up in the far north. So people like, a good example would be Lance Sullivan, good doctor up there. He's constantly struggling with issues pertaining to the health of our people. If we give a true undercount, then there's a possibility it can actually give him more teeth to actually have a go at those people to say, look, hey, hold on, we've got X amount of people living here. How come our hospital isn't up to this standard?
We must register and be involved. And that's why it's important. Over many years, as I talk about this underrepresentation, they take the census, they put it together, and it identifies our demographic and who we are.
It's critical that we engage with the process, because all the statistics at the end of the day will determine what type of services you will get.
People with impairments, with disabilities, yeah, we do need more of those to come to us, that information and that data.
If you don't capture good information and statistics around you having a disability, can also be a shortfall for resources later on. So, you know, we know that being Māori is important. That's our identity. But I also think that for us to get the right resourcing for our Māori hunga haua, that it's important for you to somehow be able to feel comfortable about discussing the impairments or disability that you have.
But my talk is going to begin on the whakatauki given by Abrahama Te Taonui. He ngā puhi whakarongo mai. Ina kore koutou e whakarongo mai to koutou whale, o koutou tangata, o koutou tikanga he punga were were. Tai hoa ke nei ka kite ea koutou te tahi tangata e tūana. E rua wana puka puka whakarongo ki aia. That is simply making statements, people. And it's a prophecy seen by our tupuna back in the 1800s. And it simply talked about if Ngāpuhi is not careful, their house, their people, and their traditions will only become but a spider's web. So I guess the lead up to my talk is around census. Will be a guarantee in my view that this house they call Te Whare Tapua Ngāpuhi will not fall.
I'm really hopeful that after so many years without a census, that we get really good information. We've had some of the worst inequities in this country, with some of the worst poverty. We have families living in real hardship. And there's a lot of decisions to be made about how to fix that. But I can't fix it, and we can't make those decisions if we don't have the right information. The census is just one part of the information gathering that happens all the time in politics and policy making.
At this point in time, there are 7 seats that have been set aside for our people in a parliament of 120. 7. There's a background to that. The 7 that comes about on the number of people who register on the Māori roll. At this point in time, about 54% of our people register on the Maori roll, 46% on the general roll. But just imagine if every Maori registered on the Maori roll, that would take us to 14 seats, 12 to 14 seats. And the theory would be that if all of our people did come to the Maori roll, 14 seats, no government would be able to govern without us, on the belief that at least that one party was capturing all those 14 seats.
To speak in multitudes and to speak in numbers is where we get our power base from. I want to say that just this morning when I walked across the bridge, I heard all the kai hoi waka doing the haka. I heard this from a distance. And if our people are able to return back to that sort of understanding, then with all the voices put together, we are able to turn this government around.
That tells the government how many Māori there are. At about March, for a 4-month opportunity only, 4 months only, you and I have the opportunity to be either on the Māori roll, switch rather from the Māori roll to the general roll, or general roll to the Māori roll. If you don't take that opportunity in 4 months, you must stay on that roll. You cannot change. So after every 4 years, that option comes around, but you may be stuck on the option that you take for maybe 2 elections, possibly 3.
Kia te tauranga Aotearoa, me te kaupapa kei mui a tātou. Hei tatau i te toko maha o ngai tātou kaua o Aotearoa ake engari o te iwi Māori tatu mai kia tātou o te kāinga nei o Ngāpuhi. Nā reira tēnā koe. Moku whakaro ko te nuinga o te ao Māori kārei te tataungia hei Māori. Nā ko te hua nui kia au o tēnei kaupapa. Kia maukatoa mai ngā Māori i Aotearoa nei, ki raro i te kārangarangatanga Māori kātahi. Me o rātou iwi i take atu ai rātou, i take a mai rātou ki tēnei ao. Mā tērā, ka whiwhi tika i ngā hua e ahei ana te ao Māori kia whiwhi. I tēnei wā toko iti noi ho te rahi o te pūtea, o ngā atawhai, o ngā manaki hara mai ana i ngā tari kāwanatanga, ākua ko te tatauranga nui o ngā raruaru kei a tāua kei te Māori. Nā reira koina te hua nui kia tuatahi kia maha ke ngā Māori e ki ana he Māori rātou, kātahi. Kā rua kia maha ke ngā Māori ke whiwhi ai tātou i ngā hua e tika ana kia tātou. Kā toru kia rahi ake a Ngāpuhi i tēnei tatauranga o tērā atu o ngā tatauranga tangata. I te mea e whakapono ana au, he maha ke a Ngāpuhi i te kotahi rau 20 mano i haina mai i tērā atu o ngā tatauranga. Mā tērā ka rahi ake te tahua, ka rahi ake te pūtea, ka rahi ake ngā lawa, ka riro mai a Ngāpuhi i roto i tana whakataunga kreme.
Maire, ko te ino atu, mā kūtau nora tēnei kaupapa whai atu. Kau e waiho ake, kau e whakatahangia. I te mea, i tōna mutunga mai, mena ka tātō moko a ki te pepa. Te paenga ka puta e o te whare pāremata, engari i nā ke nā momo paenga ka puta. Maire, i te ao Māori, kia kori, pai atu i tēnei kaupapa te tuarima o pautu te rangi o tēnei tau. Maire, kātia ke mākumu tēnei wā. Kia kaha kia maia, ke manawa nui, tēnā kūtau, kia ora tātou.